Less than 1% of any academy player goes on and makes it in the Premier League. I was playing for Northern Ireland, but I was really just a reserve team player. My thought process at the time was that I should be playing in the Football League as a minimum.
Johnny was actually getting death threats. He even sent me a video of a grave that he was going to put you in. The number one reason that an alcoholic or a drug addict goes back on drugs or drink is resentment. Welcome to this week's episode of Woody Unscripted. I have the great pleasure this week of introducing my beautiful friend, Johnny Gorman, ex-footballer, ex-international footballer, and now studying psychology at Lancaster University, been to Bath University, and in 18 months' time will hopefully be a doctor in psychology. So, how are you today, Johnny?
I'm very well, and thank you for having me on. It's lovely to be here.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everybody about where we met?
Oh, wow. I was thinking about this last night. It was, how old am I now? I've known you half my life, so I'm 33 now. So I met you on probably my second week of being at signing for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and never really done any kind of psychology work apart from a few things with someone when I was at Man United as a kid, and then I moved to Wolves. But as in, never done anything at a club, sort of always just, it was football. And then used to come in on a Thursday. And I remember people saying, oh, we've got this guy who comes in on a Thursday with another ex-player, and he's a bit mad, but it's good fun. And we had like a group meeting with all of the youth team. And I just remember thinking, oh, this is great. Like, really enjoyed it. The conversations, it was all quite like open, vulnerable conversation stuff I was just not used to at all. And I think part of that, just maybe there was a little bit of like melting me there, like when I was just like, oh, this is just nice. And I think I thought, oh, I'm not going to say anything to him. And Jeff Whitley, who used to come down as well, I'll and then for whatever reason, something just drew me over to you at the end of the session, and we got chatting. And you just basically, we were chatting away, and you just said something like, what do you think the worst thing that's ever happened to you? And I went, and just blurted it all out. I think like 3-4 different things that had happened, and you just went, right, okay, I think we need to chat a bit more.
Yeah.
So that's where it all came from.
Do you remember what they were?
Oh, it was like issues at school that had happened in my old school, girlfriend troubles, things like that. All stuff of like a sort of a 15, 16-year-old lad who... Yeah, and then like issues with at football and stuff like that. And yeah.
Do you remember the one about the guy? You had a couple of guys you'd fell out with.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember that was. I think that was the first thing you brought up. Yeah, and it was about maybe avoiding that little part of the town where
it was. Yeah.
They lived.
Yeah. No, I just think it was one of those. I'd had a couple of years. I'd fell out with a few people, and at school, as you do, on the playground and stuff like that. And I think I'd moved to Wolverhampton and was away from all that now. And I think it was just like the residual feeling of feeling threatened by someone, which was probably hanging around at that point. So I think I just shared it with you because it was probably at that time something that was going on for me. And we just chatted it through, didn't we?
And I haven't got a clue what I actually said to you. I really don't know. Yeah. Because one of the things that I must say to everybody, this is called Woody Unscripted, but generally we just do not have a script, and we come in and we talk because it's nice because it just flows, and of course then it makes the title authentic, doesn't it? Because it is actually unscripted. I can't remember the advice I gave to you either.
No, I couldn't even remember that we talked about that, to be honest, until I've just had to think about it. So, but I think that was the start of our sort of friendship, and I think you came in sort of on a weekly basis with Jeff. And I was always drawn to coming and chatting to you. Not always, because sometimes I didn't like the advice you gave me.
Yeah, that's cool.
but mostly because the advice was good advice and I just didn't want to listen as a very sort of young, arrogant 17, 16-year-old who was playing football at the time, who thought I knew everything. But you were pointing some stuff out to me. But by and large, everything that you did say, if I followed through with it, it was really good advice. So
thanks, Johnny.
That sort of went on for, I think it was 4 seasons.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, well, I was there for 5 seasons. Yeah. You came in the second season.
Yeah.
And for the viewers who don't know, Johnny had a international career that actually eclipsed his club career at Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Yeah.
Because was it 9 caps for Northern Ireland that you made?
It was 9, yeah. Made my debut in my first year as a scholar, which is you're on like £100 a week as a YTS or a trainee or whatever they're called now. I'm not sure, but we called them scholars at the time. And I was I think I played 30 minutes of reserve team football in that season. Played for the youth team, wasn't actually that regular because of injuries and stuff like that, and adapting to coming to Wolverhampton. And I was at school as well doing education. And I went to a training camp for Northern Ireland, and I'd always done quite well for Northern Ireland throughout all their youth teams. And Nigel Worthington just happened to come to the under-17s training camp and watched a training session, watched a game I played in between us. Nothing spectacular. I didn't think anything of it. I did have a really good 10 minutes at the start of this game, though, where I think I scored one, set up one, looked great. But again, just didn't really think much of it. And then just at the back end of the season, my dad got a phone call to say, literally from Nigel Worthington, to say, look, I've done my, I've seen Johnny at this training camp. I've rang Mick McCarthy. I've rang other people about him. All the reports back are quite good. I want to take him on the sort of end of season tour with the first team. And I was like, wow, I'd just not got into the under-21 squad for the Euros for the 21s at the time, which I was a little bit disappointed by, but I was only 17, so I wasn't too fussed. And then there I am getting dragged away with the first team to, it was a tour of America and Chile where we played Turkey in America before the World Cup in 2010. Then we flew down to Chile and played like a World Cup warm-up game. And I was like, wow, I'm 17 and I'm in a first team, which is obviously, as a young footballer, when you've been plugging away at something for years, you start to think, wow, like this is like crazy.
Must have felt a bit weird playing for Northern Ireland and then coming back to Wolves and not getting a game, or was it? I don't know. Was it weird?
I think it was strange because I think at Northern Ireland you only went there every sort of 6 weeks to 2 months, so it was like you'd go there, and obviously I was then in pretty much every squad for 2 years then, and I was always sort of pleasantly surprised to just keep getting picked. And I think as time went on and I kept getting picked, kept playing in some big games. Like I played Serbia away in the middle of our Euro qualifiers in 2011. And then I'd come back and then I'd be playing in the youth team at the weekend or in the reserves. And I think my biggest thing was I was desperate to go out and then play first team football in the Football League. And that just never seemed to quite happen. And with hindsight, I probably should have listened to people and just said, just stick at Wolves, get your head down there. But I was sort of equating, well, if I'm playing for Northern Ireland, why wouldn't I at least try and get out to a lower league club and get some experience there? I was desperate to get that experience, and I think that sort of took over. Instead of focusing on just getting better as a footballer day by day.
Why didn't Wolves send you out? Do you know?
They did eventually, but that was in my 4th season.
Yeah.
I think in my 3rd season, I
why
probably wasn't any offers.
Yeah.
There was a few things where I was getting told stuff by agents and so on, and I would go and speak to the management team or so on, and then nothing really ever came from it. As well, like my agent was more in line of, we'll get you something, but really just focus on Wolves and get your head down. You might get in the first team there, like who knows? But I think there was a period where everything was really flowing and going really, really well. Kept getting picked for the Northern Ireland squads, was doing okay in the reserves. And then just something along the way, I just got a bit sidetracked with it all. And I took my eye off the ball and probably felt I was better than what I was, and probably was getting quite a lot of attention for the Northern Ireland stuff that was beyond really where I was at that time. And I think also then people sort of looked at me as if I was more of a first team player when really I was only a reserve team player. And I think the word I've always used is it distorted perception of me. I was playing for Northern Ireland, but then in the reserves, I was really just a reserve team player who was trying to get into a football league team on loan if I could. But my thought process at the time was that I should be playing in the football league as a minimum. And it just, I think I just took my eye off the ball and got swept away with what I thought I should be doing rather than just focusing on the here and now.
Yeah, obviously, if you any viewers who've watched the earlier podcasts, Mick McCarthy is actually one of my best friends, as is young Johnny here, by the way. Yeah. And I had conversations with Mick on the touchline, and as Mick did say in the first episode we did about Johnny, you being rather languid.
Yes.
Do you want to give your side of the? It's not even an argument, is it?
No,
your
it's
side of the discussion.
It's his view. Yeah, I think there comes. I think, as I said, there was a couple of years at Wolves where I felt things were going really well, and I don't know. I think that third season at Wolves, something happened that there was lots of different things going on inside my head that weren't beneficial to making it as a footballer. I think there was a lot of resentment of like, why am I not there? Why am I not playing in a first team? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not training with the first team every training session? Or, but I'm going away with Northern Ireland. And I think, as I say, it just distorted me. But to be honest, I think because I thought I was above where I was with that, I don't think I worked hard enough. I don't think I put myself about enough. I thought being a first team player at Northern Ireland, maybe I didn't have to do some of that harder graft.
And you weren't in every day because you obviously you were schooling at the same time, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, the first 2 years, and I probably was getting away with that while the Northern Ireland stuff was going on, but maybe in that third season, that's where I became full time. Maybe that's where it sort of took its toll, and I wasn't as fit and as ready for first team football as maybe I thought I was.
And we did a bit of running together, didn't we?
Yeah.
And once I'd been running with you quite a few times, I did start to think that maybe Mick's right about this, which it's quite contradictory because you work so hard now, with your psychology stuff, because obviously you've done all this because you're quite severely dyslexic. Is that right?
I wouldn't say severely.
Okay,
mildly to
mildly. Sorry about that.
No,
mildly
it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Mildly, severely, mildly. Who knows? Yeah. You're asking a dyslexic person.
So what you're achieving now, I mean, doing a doctorate is pretty amazing. Well, you've got some serious grafting.
Yeah, well, I think this is the interesting thing is, I think the way my mind works is whenever I'm sort of really interested in something and enjoy it, I can do it for hours. I can focus on one thing for a long period of time. And I think it doesn't come naturally to me to sit down and write essays and so on. Or it didn't used to, I should say. I think I've learned the skill of how to do that in the way I can do it from my time going to university. I've definitely learned how to do that through practice, but it didn't come easy at all. In parallel to sort of my football career, I think because various things were probably happening what I wasn't happy with, like why am I not in the first team? Why am I not on loan? Why am I not doing this? All the sort of negative resentment stuff that was all coming up for me around that time. I think there was part of me that then was thinking, well, I don't really want to be here either. Like I've had enough of all this politics and of all of the games, especially in that third and fourth year at Wolves, especially by the fourth season where I was just basically told you're leaving soon. I almost was like, well, I've almost had enough of being a footballer in that fourth year. I don't think you were around as much. I don't think Jeff was around as much. Mick had left.
I went when just after Mick went.
You'd gone. So the coaching staff changed. I had to play one-touch football with Stola Solbakken.
He was a bit miserable, wasn't he?
Yeah, he didn't last too long as the manager. He had no interest really in any of the youth players apart from one or two.
I heard that.
And you when you've done something your whole life and you've put your whole energy into it, you sort of, and you get to the point of, do I really want to be doing this? I'm not. I'm coming into training not having fun. I'm not enjoying myself. It's become more of a job than a game that I grew up playing. How much do I really want to? Again, I didn't know this consciously at the time, and maybe I'm looking back with a bit of hindsight here. How much subconsciously did I just really not want to be there and want to go off and do other things like what I'm doing now? Because I always sort of knew I had lots of other interests that were being suppressed because I had to put a lot of time into football.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, do you know if you went back now, would you, do you think, put a lot more effort into your fitness?
If I could, if that's the one thing I could change, 100%. Like it just, I was almost like battling against being fit. It really sounds quite stupid, doesn't it?
I remember, Johnny, should we go for a run later? I can't. I've been advised that my toenails in growing a little bit, so I better not bother. So you were always looking for a way of getting out of going for a run, or it doesn't quite fit in with it, because I always had my ideas.
Yeah.
I always had my ideas, and me and Steve Kemp, he was the sports scientist or something?
His head physio.
He had different ideas than me. I've got great faith in. I'm not decrying any of the work he's done. I think he's the England sports scientist now, I think. So obviously he knows what he's talking about. So I'm not minimizing any of that. But for me, with what I've seen people come through in recovery, for me, if you want something a lot, then a lot of the time you can get it. So then if you've got a player like you maybe that didn't have that desire, then the question is, can you actually try and help that person get that desire? It's a biggie. It's an absolute biggie. I mean, I tried pretty hard. You were basically, and I'm really pleased it all happened like this. But Mick said about you once when you were having a good game, you were playing for the reserves. Yeah. And he knew me and you were getting on well and chatting and talking and developed a friendship. And he pulled me over. That was when this Languid thing came out. He pulled me over. I was walking past. He went, "Your mate's playing well today." And I went, "Oh, great. And then I'd chat with him. Yeah, he's doing all right. Yeah, good. I said, "Do you think he'll make it?" He said, "No, I don't think so." I went, "All right. Is he not talented enough?" "Oh, yeah. He's very talented. No doubt about that."
Yeah.
And of course, I'm getting a bit confused then. So I said, "Well, if he's talented, why do you think he's not going to make it?" And he said, "Woody, he's languid." And then I took that on. I said to him, I said, "Well, could he not change that?" And he said, "In my experience, if you're languid, you're languid. It's just how you are."
Yeah.
And then I said to him, I said, "But I've changed. I was about 4 years sober then. I thought I was just like changed so much."
Yeah.
But then, of course, Mick said to me, no, Woody, you've always been a grafter. You work really hard at drinking and partying, and now you work really hard in your recovery. Yeah. He said, "I don't see that from Johnny's Languid." And he used to say, he won't put his head in there, and he won't do this, and he won't do that, and he won't do the other.
And he was right.
He ended up being right, but I thought right. And I said to him, "Well, I think maybe you can change." And I remember what he said. He went, "He's all yours. Crack on." And I took that as a challenge then.
You did.
I'm going to try and change Johnny Gorman. We had moments.
We made inroads and so on. And
but maybe the psychology was always that was the path that was always meant to be, because you are a grafter in that.
Yeah. It's something I don't tend to think about too much, but I whenever I do go back and look back, I think I always felt throughout my career that I had that season, 1 or 2 seasons at this, where I was around the Northern Ireland stuff, and I felt like I was going to be a footballer and so on. And not to knock back on too much, but Mick used to, when I was in my first year, was quite complimentary of me and would say "Oh, you're training well" and stuff like that. So everything was going quite well in that period. And as I say, just as I think too much time in that system, and maybe me not being as open minded and not listening too much, and just being a teenager, and not being able to deal with my own emotions at that time, and blaming other people and so on and so forth. I think I just got to a point where I just had enough, and the more the sort of the dream gets away from you of becoming a footballer, the more I actually thought, well, I don't even want to be a footballer anymore. I sort of, by the end of my time at Wolves, I sort of thought,
I mean, Kev said something in the car. We were chatting.
yeah,
Kev Horlock phoned me when we were in the car on the way here.
yeah,
And we had last week. It was, we opened up on the week. He's been on a couple of times, and he was really brave opening up about his stuff. But he was involved in the Northern Ireland setup, so you knew him, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
But I don't know whether you know, but you said to him when you were chatting with him on the phone, because I was listening, you said, well, about like getting dementia and stuff. You said, well, I don't have to worry about that because I never used to head it. So
yeah, I did.
So maybe Mick did have a point.
No. I think it's being able to hold a few different ideas that it would probably all of the things we spoke about, throw them in a pot.
Yeah.
Like, there was times where I wasn't. I feel I was really on my game, but as time went on, I was definitely languid. Definitely had body language issues. I couldn't hold my emotions in, so it used to seep out in my body language, and I used to really struggle with that. And that obviously portrayed to everyone that I probably don't want to be here.
Yeah, look sulky.
Because I was just, I think you want it, and you can feel it getting away from you.
Yeah.
I could feel, these other players that are younger than me are now overtaking me to get in the first team, and resentment builds. And then the more that happens, and then the more sort of other things that were going on at the club, and the more the thing I would finish on with this is that the more out of control you feel with your life, because as a young footballer you don't have much control. I used to really struggle with that, because it's like, I don't know where I'm going to be next season. I don't know who I'm going to sign for now that Wolves have released me, or I know that I'm pretty nailed on that Wolves are going to release me because I've not done well in the last 6 months. That sort of lack of control over your life, when you've been in academy football where it's all been quite staged, and now you get into sort of this point of the career. But there was a big part of me that just thought, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, things are funny, aren't they? So moving on.
Yeah.
Probably like I've got my boys sat over here watching 17 and 18.
Yeah.
I don't think Sammy's. You'd play football. Do you play football, Sammy? No, but Sammy's a Tottenham fan.
Yeah.
They're both City fans. So I suppose if I would ask them, would you prefer to be a successful psychologist or a Premier League footballer, they would probably say that they prefer to be a Premier League footballer.
Of course, yeah.
But then as time goes on,
yeah,
if you were to ask me now, if
Yeah.
I go back in time, not that you can, but let's just, for the sake of this conversation, go there, and now give me the choice of, you're a Premiership footballer till you're 32 or 33 or whatever, and then wherever your career goes, or be a successful psychologist.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
For your life. I mean, that'd be a no-brainer for me. I'd just be the psychologist.
We said that we were at a game, weren't we? We were at a League Two game, weren't we? And we were chatting about that. Like, it was last year, wasn't it? So I'm 32, and I said to you, I was thinking, if I was still playing football now, I'd probably be a League Two, National League sort of level, maybe.
If you'd reach your full potential, who knows where you might have.
But maybe at say 32, maybe wherever I would have been, I would have been doing this. And I just said, I'm so glad I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Well, and also, if you think about it, I mean, if you think about a footballer, and this is not me knocking any footballers who've made loads of money. I'm not, fair play to them, but they finish their career. They don't really need to work. They don't really need to do anything to earn money. And then, wow, I mean, I really don't know what the hell. Well, I know what would have probably happened to me if I'd have been in that situation. I would have been probably one of those players that would have gone completely off the rails and blown everything I had anyway, because I did that anyway and I wasn't a footballer. But, having a career, and also what you learn, because what you've learned a lot over the last 16 years that I've known you, is you've learned about life, because, obviously me and Jeff were both in recovery, albeit quite early, and I was about 4 or 5 years in, and Jeff was like 4 years in. So you probably picked up on quite a lot of our, recovery stuff and put it in your life, which may well have helped you with the...
I've said this to you, didn't I? That I've always thought the reason, because I had no idea about anything to do with psychology or anything like that. My mum was a social worker, and we spoke about stuff like that, and I was always slightly interested, but was always quite football oriented, and I like things like art. And I thought, if I won't be a footballer, I'll probably be an artist. Never followed up on that, and then it wasn't until sort of those Thursdays where I was coming in and we do the meetings with the youth team or the reserves or so on. It wasn't until those conversations where, and also it was a combination of spending time with you and Jeff, and then unfortunately seeing how other players were coping with the football system and the lack of support, because you and Jeff were pretty much an enigma, weren't you? At that time, there wasn't really many other people doing anything like that.
I mean,
clubs.
that what a laugh we had. I mean, it was a fun couple of hours, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the challenges. Do you remember, like the
write your mum a letter?
Write your mum a letter. Make your mum a cup of tea and take it in her bedroom.
We were all so ungrateful.
And the camera, the camera thing had just come out, hadn't it? Cameras on phones. So we used to get you lot right because we didn't believe you.
Yeah.
Go make your mum a breakfast, and then when you've served it to them, we want a picture of your mum and dad in bed with the thumbs up. So because young footballers often think that the world owes them a living, and I mean, there's a lot of the parents think, and I'm not saying this, I'm not decrying any parent or anything, but if you've got a son who makes it in football and makes a load of money, it's a bit like it's like winning a lottery ticket, isn't it? So, one of the things I noticed there was that some of the players who had brothers and sisters, they got star treatment at home and didn't have to do the things that the other kids did, which isn't great.
Yeah, and I think it's because society has such an interest in football that if your son or child is going into that, it's obviously it's a huge deal for the family. So I'm not sure they'd all feel like that now, 20 years on or 10 years on from their son maybe being released and coming out of it. But at the time when you're in that academy system and then going into professional football, I think it's sort of human nature to probably treat someone a little bit more differently.
Kid gloves type thing,
and I think as well that doesn't just happen with parents. I think that happens with teachers, friends, everyone around that young player gets treated slightly differently or a lot differently to everyone else around them, and then you sort of grow up with this sense of, well, maybe I am a bit superior to everyone because everyone treats me with a bit more, and I get a bit more attention and adulation for all of this football stuff. And that's great as you're growing up and you go into the football world. You almost, there's like a bit of a sense of narcissism that will grow into you because you're getting treated differently. So by the time we came and met you on a Thursday and we're being asked to go and make a cup of tea for our mums.
Yeah, what, me?
Like, whoa, like I've never had to do that. Like
1 week.
It was really interesting because like I think most of us all did
In
stuff.
fairness, 1 week. Did we have 30 of you?
Yeah, I think we all went round and did whatever. Like I remember mine being writing a letter to my mum, and just expressing my gratitude and appreciation for her. And again, these things that are pretty alien because everything revolves around you and your football, not you and how you are with everyone else. It's one of those things that just sort of socially happens, and it's probably not the best for people going through that system as a young footballer, but it does happen. Everything sort of revolves around them and the football, I think.
I'll tell you what was great. When we had a guy come in, bless him, he passed away now, a guy called Gordon. Do you remember Gordon?
I know, yeah, I really remember.
Involved in a lot of charity work and everything at the hospital at Birmingham. And I just got chatting to him and I said, would you like the academy players to come in and chat with a few of the kids at Christmas? And he went, yeah, because I don't think it was a done thing for academy players. And I remember there was quite a few kids there who were really seriously poorly. It was very, very sad. But I asked you guys, I said, because there was a lot of internationals. You had a lot of you were, schoolboy internationals and stuff. If you'd be willing to give one of your shirts up and take it into some of these really poorly kids. And I'm pretty sure you gave one of your Ireland shirts.
I came with you.
Yeah, you did. Everybody came.
Yeah.
It was quite emotional. The kids just loved it.
Yeah.
They just loved it. I think that could be, I don't know how many clubs actually the academy lads go into hospitals.
It's usually first team, isn't it?
It's usually the first team. I think it was just a great idea. Just a great idea, but it was fantastic.
Well, it gives you that new perspective that, like, again, a young academy player, the world revolves around you. But actually, when you go and do something like that, you actually think, wow, that, like, anything I'm worried about is not a big deal when you've got kids in hospital
that were seriously poorly. It was really, really sad.
Yeah.
So psychology-wise, Johnny, hopefully you get your doctorate next year.
Yes.
What are your plans in the future with that?
Well, I'm currently doing some more research or starting some more research, looking at the transition period out of football for young players specifically. Sort of, I started it. I published a paper last year that identified quite a lot of issues for players, and there was quite a lot of light bulb moments for me as well while I was interviewing people. And I was going, like, that might have happened to me. Stuff like that. Like,
what percentage of players make it then?
I'd say lots of people like to argue around this, but it's for me, it's less than 1% of any academy player goes on and makes it in the Premier League or at first team, I should say. But for me, like, it doesn't really matter if it's 98%, 99%, 93%. It's the overwhelming majority. All of the players that we have come across, not many get into a first team. Wolves were quite a good academy. So
we were at Wolves. They were Premier League, and out of the lads at the academy, who came through the academy, how many made it into as Premier League players?
You had pockets of like Danny Bath, Sam Winnell, Dave Davis, Ashley Hemmings. They've all gone on had careers. Scott Malone, they were a few years older. There was quite a good group of them that went on.
Mainly Championship level, wasn't it?
But they still had very, very good careers.
Yeah.
Not many in my era. I think Jack Price is still playing. I don't really. Ethan Ebanks Landau. I don't really keep track, to be honest.
I mean, Matt Doherty hung around with us a bit. Yeah,
Docs,
but he wasn't an academy player.
No, he got signed from Ireland.
He'd been signed as a young player, but he wasn't in the academy, was he?
No, I don't think so.
No.
He started off in the reserves.
He was in the reserves with Steve Weaver.
Yeah. But I think when Wolves was quite a good an academy. Like, I started off at Man United. They had quite a few that went through, like Jesse Lingard. Obviously went through. He was in my era team. Mike Keane's still playing for Everton now. There's a few others.
His uncle's a friend of mine.
Yes, we know. Yeah, he is.
You know his cousin.
Yeah. So he's still playing. But when you look at the bigger picture, the wider picture of, like, every single lad I came across in an academy or in a first team or like going to like Leyton Orient or going back to Man United days, or just there's not many that make it and go through, because it's not really anyone's fault, because actually there's only a certain amount of places in a first team. You've only got 11 people you can pick. There's only like 20 teams in the Premier League. Like, there's only so many in the squad. So, and if you've already got the best of the best there, to get into that and break through is extremely hard.
Maybe the parents could do with going to a meeting every few weeks to actually discuss this, so that they can keep their hopes very high, but their expectations a hell of a lot lower. Because I feel sorry for a player.
Yeah.
And it emotionally can be, they might have had all the special treatment as they were growing up as a teenager, and the mum and dad, but then when they don't make it, oh, what a letdown. I mean, did you feel any of that when you were...
Not from my parents. I was extremely fortunate with my parents, because my dad had sort of an understanding of some of the stats. Again, it was all quite vague and sort of didn't really get discussed openly, because I think most people are just focusing on the dream and just go for your plan A. But my dad had it in mind about some of these stats and figures. So And my mum was never really that bothered.
Yeah.
She didn't care if I made it or not. She always made that very clear. She was not even remotely fussed. And if anything, my mum didn't like the whole system. I think her social work background, she could sort of zoom out and see it a bit more holistically, that it's not really right what's going on here. But she was in a position where she couldn't really express too much of that because I was in it, but always had an eye on that. So when I came out of football properly and I went down into non-league and so on, there was never any sort of issues from my parents, but I know there's other players that definitely have
especially,
suffered.
You know, if you're from a community that's maybe deprived or whatever, suddenly we've got a player here who we think might be making it.
Yeah.
And then, wow, to get us all out of this, and then those expectations, and then it doesn't turn out that way. It must be really tough for certain players.
Yeah, I think it's like you'd call them meal ticket parents.
Yeah, bit, yeah.
Unfortunately, like they see their son or daughter, if they're playing football, this could be it. Like if he's on 100 grand a week, our life's going to be amazing. Like you can just see it, and I sort of don't blame him at the same time, but then whenever like the guillotine drops and they get released from football and they don't really make it and they go into non-league, it's a big disappointment for everyone. And also, you got to remember, the parents are probably being treated with quite a lot of attention and oh, your son's playing for United or your son's playing for City or whoever, and getting that constant chat. There'll be a lot of envious people that will have been waiting for the end to come, and a lot of like almost, if they've been envious of it, then it's their time to then have a bit of a dig and say stuff to them, and almost they feel the release just as much as the young player does. Does that make sense?
Of course it does. Yeah, it's a bit like, we were big time, and now we're not big time anymore. Oh, definitely.
Definitely some parents that were like, almost, it was like their identity is like, I'm the footballers, my son's a footballer, we're the footballer parents, and then that gets taken away from them. It's quite a big thing to take away from someone if they've had it for 10 years, 15
like somebody
years.
who's rich losing all the money, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they're losing the status as a footballer mum or a footballer dad. They haven't got that to go off anymore.
So if you could have your dream ticket 5 years after qualifying as a doctor, and you could have I know this is just a conversation, but if you could actually think, right, that's where I'd like to be, where do you think you'd like to be in your career?
I don't think about this much. I don't think about it. I'd like to really follow up with my research. That's because I see a need for that. And
in football, then?
Yeah, it's getting better.
You think you'd like to work in football, then?
I think so, but I'm not. There's other areas I'm also really interested in, but I think for me, I see a real need for lots of players who come out of the game. So if the overwhelming majority are getting released at 18, 19, 20, 21, what I found with my supervisor in my last bit of research was they have like 2, 3, 4 years where they just have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
They have go off the rails. They don't know what they're doing. They're just depression, anxiety, all of that. Mental health issues can come, gambling. There was all sorts of stuff that came out of the research we did. And my next bit of research is how do we stop that happening as best we can, and how do we implement stuff that reduces that time from being 2-3 years to 2-3 months, because it's painful. If you get released, it's painful.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
You're going to have a bit of a grieving period, but how can we implement stuff that happens before, when they're in the academies and in the clubs? How can we get that ready and then put that in place so that when they come out, they're ready to go and they've got other stuff they can go and do? Because I remember when I came out, and I didn't realise all this was going on for me until I looked back on it when I was doing the research. I had 3-4 years where I didn't really know what I was doing, and I sort of was not really sure. But I was quite numb at the time. That's how I'd look back on it. I think I numbed myself out of the emotions of not making it as a footballer for for 4 years, 4 or 5, until I went back off to university and committed to the university again. I was a bit sort of wayward with what I was doing. I had jobs here and there, and was
Spent
doing
your savings on a chicken shop.
daft business ideas because I was chasing some kind of glamour. I think that was going on for me.
Just for the viewers, Johnny opened a fried chicken shop in quite a deprived area of Manchester.
It wasn't a great idea. It was on a whim, really.
Yeah.
I was just got out. It was impulsive, completely impulsive.
Which isn't really like you.
No, but I think that was. I'm not giving myself too much of an excuse here, but I think that was a response to just not making it as a footballer and thinking, right, I've got a bit of money saved up. Let's do something. And I remember having about 3 months of just wanting to do something to sort of maybe to distract myself from any of these emotions. And then someone came along with an idea, and I just thought, let's give it a go.
And you opened it off opposite a massive cinema that then closed down.
No due diligence done, obviously. Just did it on a complete whim.
All water under the bridge.
Yeah. And I lost a load of money and just was just like, I think that's that part of my life. I was about 23. I think that was when I thought I need to just really, if I'm going to go down I'm going to be in a bad way if I carry on just doing all this stuff. And I sort of then started to come up with more of a plan. I was already thinking about the psychology stuff before. I was doing some stuff at Open University, but not taking it seriously. I wasn't really committed to it. And then I think eventually I sat down and just I think from then on just planned that I was going to go back to uni, do it properly, start from the beginning, and just give my all to that. And
so what would you say is the most out of football?
Yeah.
Well, it can be in football, I suppose it can be league. What would you say was the most challenging time in your life?
What do you think it would?
Well, I would feel that it was when you were having your problems in Bath. But I may be wrong because I'm not in your head, but that for me was quite, I found it challenging being your friend.
Yeah. I've done loads of stuff on it where I don't even think about that anymore. Yeah. At the time, it was. Yeah. It was tough at the time.
Johnny was actually getting death threats off his ex-girlfriend's ex-partner. At the time, and it was getting pretty nasty, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, I don't really even.
He even sent me a video.
Yeah, he was sending all
of a grave that he was going to put you in. So it was quite heavy shit. This.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think.
And you were living in Bath.
Yeah, I was by myself.
Yeah,
I was by myself.
I'm not going to mention his name, but if he's watching, he knows my feelings about him.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah. And do you know what? At the time, it was tricky because it was like I was looking over my shoulder, or I was getting message. I didn't engage with him once at all. I thought I'm not going to do that until maybe a few months in, and then just. Now it's interesting. It's sort of it attests to some of the therapy I do that I don't even think I've not even thought about that.
But
for
isn't
months.
it great that?
Yeah,
because you're obviously not holding any resentments to it.
Oh no, I feel quite sorry for him, but I don't actually ever think about that situation ever.
And that's maybe some of the stuff that we've done together, recovery stuff about not having any resentments. For people who are watching, the number one reason that an alcoholic or a drug addict, and Johnny isn't, I'll point out Johnny's not an alcoholic or a drug addict, but that an alcoholic or a drug addict goes back on drugs or drink is resentment. But also, I would say that in life, one of the major players at people being unhappy is resentments, because people don't want to get rid of them. A lot of people hold on to them.
Yeah.
They have grudges.
Yeah.
And I remember I was terrible. I used to think, well, if somebody gave me 3 months to live, it would be very bad. But at least I could go and bump off all the people that have upset me and harmed me. That was one of the things that used to go on for me. Now I can honestly say to anybody out there, I don't actually resent anybody in the world, even people who've really done me quite, some pretty bad harm. I don't resent them. I actually feel a bit sorry for them. So I would say that most people, after they'd been through what you went through with him, would probably hold serious resentments. So, fair play to you.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
yeah, I think that's actually testament to probably the conversations we've had and the things we've spoken about over the years since. That it's literally just
Yeah.
I can't even think of the last time I thought about that situation. It's almost like I dealt with it and I've left it where it is.
Because, like, for people out there, you know, resentment is a massive offender. And if so many people resent other people so badly, maybe a relationship that hasn't worked out, a boss that sacked them, or something maybe much, much worse that's happened in the childhood or whatever.
Yeah.
But of course, a lot of the time when that's eating you up, the other person doesn't even know what's going on and probably doesn't give a shit.
Don't even have a clue.
So you're just destroying your own life. And it's very easy for me to sit here and say, don't have them, because it's not that easy.
Yeah.
But if you actually, you know, if people can actually realize that anybody, so the guy that was actually abusing you very seriously, it was very, and I must actually say that I thought the police in Bath were very, very poor, and I hope they're watching, because we actually phoned them and they didn't do anything about this. It was I was so very disappointed with them. But a lot of people, you know, who went through what you went through would hold massive grudges. You know, I lost my track there a little bit. The guy that obviously was guilty of giving you a really, really, really tough time. You know, we've got the ability, because of what we've done, me with my work and 12-step work and you with what you're doing, to actually realize that he's actually a very poorly man. You know, and if anybody who's willing to do what he did to you is actually very poorly and ill. So the flip is to not be angry and resentful to these people, but actually say a prayer for them. And that might seem insane to a lot of people maybe watching, but it works.
Yeah.
Once you accept anybody who behaves like a complete and utter arsehole and treats other people badly are usually not well emotionally.
Yeah. Well, and to add to that as well, I feel sort of from the psychology world and things I've worked on and understanding trauma and people's childhoods a bit more, like generically speaking, most people who behave in that way have probably had some terrible things happen to them, and it's just a response from their childhood that's manifesting in their adulthood. And I think, when you can sort of separate from what's going on and zoom out and look at it from that perspective, it's not giving that person an excuse for their behavior, but it's just you having an understanding of why they're doing it, and it's not actually then about you, it's about them, it's their stuff. Absolutely. And I think once I got to that point with him, it actually became quite easy to deal with. But it was a challenge. It definitely was a challenging period of time of my life. But gave me that sort of perspective on it, and as I say, as a consequence, I don't actually have any resentment. I don't even think about it.
Great. It's great. Fair play to you. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's not an avoidant. Don't think I genuinely just haven't even, because it's just not. It doesn't have any space in my mind anymore. It's been about 4 or 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah. But I have been open and spoke with lots of people about that situation. I've not kept it to myself. I've not buried it. I've been open and spoke about it, and that helped as well. Just being open with people around me. And
by the way, guys, I was feeling the same. Yeah. Because I treat Johnny like one of my own kids. I love him. And when Johnny was getting this abuse, I'm actually pretty good when I get it. I think the only times I felt real anger towards anybody in the last 20 years or so, real anger, was when things happened to my kids. I think with myself, resentments getting sober has been one of the best things, and working a program, just to lose resentments to people, you know. It's been pretty amazing. It's so nice not to feel like you've got people on a grudge list, you know, lying in bed at night, you know, he's this, she's that, she's the other. I don't have that anymore. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm a human being.
Yeah.
Someone can do something to me and it'll miff me. But what I mean is, I don't dwell on it. Don't, think I'm going to go and blow the car up or, get them done in or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
just so nice that. So
it's probably a different way for you to live compared to how it was pre getting sober.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. People used to upset me in the old days.
Yeah.
They were definitely on my grudge list.
Yeah.
But I used to upset so many people
Yeah.
that I had a massive grudge list. So when something happened to me, once I got all my cars, somebody chucked brake fluid over all my cars at one New Year. And my mate, who used to look after me, bless him, and I love you dearly if you're watching, Magic. Magic was a pretty tasty, hard case mate of mine. And he used to look after me back in the old days, and he's going, who's done this to your cars? And I go, could be one of the few people.
Let's get that index out and have a look.
Never a customer. It was never a customer I'd ripped off because I never ripped customers off.
Yeah.
I never intentionally ripped any customers off.
Yeah.
I was all right in business. It was just in my private life.
Yeah.
I behaved like such an arsehole. I must have so many people out there that would have been happy to chuck brake fluid on my cars, by being a gobshite. But there you go.
Well, when I'm with you and someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, Woody, seen you from," and you look at me as if to say, "I have no idea who this person is," and then you instantly go, "I probably need to give you an apology if you know me from my old life."
Definitely.
And that's the first thing you do with everyone.
Someone says, "I haven't seen you for years." I always go, "How many?"
Yeah.
How many?
You're working out. Was
I
I sober then or not? No.
If they haven't seen me for 15 years, I'm all right. I go, "Oh, great. How are you?" Yeah. Where do I know you from? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you for 30 years. Okay, mate. Listen, if I owe you an apology.
Yeah.
My mate Pecky got married and, and it was a lot of people there that I knew from, and I went round every table and most people I didn't owe them an apology, but there was a couple I did.
Mm.
Well, you know what you did? You said this to me once and sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry about this. Sorry about that. I've been in touch with a lovely friend of mine in the past just recently that I call him Prino.
Mm.
And he was a sales manager that I dealt with years ago when I was buying so many cars off him. And Keith was just reminding me, because he's not in recovery, and he's not becoming a psychologist or anything like that. Of course, he still thinks a lot of these things are ridiculously hilarious, and obviously some of them are quite hilarious, but some actually maybe not so, I was with him the other day and he was just reminding me of the way things were and how crazy things were, And funnily enough, Mark Stott, the owner of Stockport County, was working. Keith was the sales manager when I first met Mark Stott.
Mm.
Mark Stott was so ambitious. He came over to me and asked me how to become a car dealer. How do I go from my job to yours? And I always sensed that he was going to go places.
Something, yeah.
But the garage, it was mad. And I hope Keith doesn't mind me saying this, but I'd sometimes ask Keith to, there was a sales girl there, for example. I won't mention her name, but she was pretty attractive. And whenever she went off to value a car with my mate Keith, it took 15, 20 minutes because they did a detour to the disabled toilets and everybody knew they were at it in the disabled toilets, But we all thought that was absolutely hilarious. He's not married anymore, so that's fine. And I'll probably send this to him first to see if he's okay with that. But, that was just the world we lived in. We thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
All that.
All
that caper,
it's the madness.
Just mad.
Yeah.
Mad. Now I'd look at that and think, come on, mate.
Yeah.
It's not really appropriate, is it? Yeah, football has that reputation, though. Footballers have not got a great reputation. Because I'm actually starting to look at this stuff because of this podcast, and I'm looking at, is anybody watching and all this stuff. I'm looking at things and they're flashing up. And one flashed up this morning with Phil Foden on.
Yeah.
And it was Phil Foden being interviewed when he was a very, very young player.
Yeah.
And they asked him about Balotelli.
Yeah.
And they said, what do you think about Balotelli? And in fairness to Phil Foden, he was only very young. He said he's a very good player, but his attitude is very poor. It's something like that. I thought, fair play to you, Phil. It was great.
Yeah.
But then you'd get your super talented, like, you know, Jeff Whitley was in the main first team at 17. And he would, I mean, if you think what he achieved, 100 odd games for City, 100 games for Sunderland.
Jeff didn't do all that he did.
Imagine if Jeff
Wow.
had had a Phil Foden attitude. I'm not saying he would have been as good as Phil Foden, but my God,
He'd have been.
He was super fit as well.
He'd have been a 15-year Premier League player.
Oh yeah, as long as he
Jeff.
didn't get injured, and you know, with his personality and everything, you know, wow, and he's done great, hasn't he? I mean, let's be honest, he's done great. But you know, if you think, you know, he self-confessed what he put himself through.
Oh yeah.
If they're super skillful, you know, they can get away with being a little bit lazy. You know, in certain teams, you know.
Yeah, there's plenty of players out there that have been really good 3-4 years ago and are still living off that. They're still playing to 80%, but they're not at the 100% they were 2-3 years ago because they don't. They've got a big contract. They don't have to. So it's human nature. I think it's a lot of people like to view footballers as robots who just come in and do the job. And there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes.
Psychology is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, like psychology now is, I look at it and I think maybe something I might get into in the future. I don't know. I'm quite open-minded. We'll see what happens. But I do think we're still way behind with sports people, especially in football, but in lots of other sports where they don't even use a psychologist.
Yeah.
Like it shocks me whether I'm watching golf and they all don't have a member of the team that's a psychologist or something similar. Only a few do. Like for me,
it's massive, isn't it?
I look back on my career. I think in that period of time where my head was just all over the place and I was resentful, couldn't deal with the emotions of it all. I think at that time, if I'd have had someone there doing that role only for me, and obviously at that time probably couldn't afford it and all of that, but like if I had someone there, how would I have fared with things a little bit better?
But anyway, Johnny, it's been absolutely lovely having you on the show. Wish you all the best in your life, which of course hopefully I'm going to be
you made it sound like
a close important part of, as you will be a close important part of mine. And it's been great having you here. I believe that we're going to get Mark Kennedy and you and Mick back on in the new year. That will be quite interesting.
It will.
And so hopefully we'll see you back in January, February or whenever.
Look forward to it.
Thanks very much, Johnny.
Thank you for having me on.